So hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So here today in today's video we are going to discuss how we can do our assignment in a data warehousing or data mining. So for that video I'm going to do my friend's assignment. So she has given some tasks related to data science. So it was included the data pre-processing, data visualization, and even prediction. So let's get started. Here I have already started the Jupyter notebook. I'll start it again, Python M notebook. And here we are going to do the tasks one by one. I'm going to let you guys know what tasks I am going to do. And we are going, first of all, I will load the required modules. So for data science, we all know that these are the basic, or we can say the building blocks of every data science project. So in this folder, I have stored all the files related to that project assignment. So I'll open my PYNB file, which is the Jupyter notebook file. So first of all, we're going to load all the necessary modules, which are NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn, Matplotlib, Folium. So all these uh, modules we are going to use in our data assignments. So I'm going to run that step. First of all, I'm going to restart and clear all inputs. Restart. All right. So I'm going to run that cell. After that, I'm going to load the data set. The data set is already placed in the same folder. So the data set is called listings.csv. So here is already a CSV. Let me find in my documents, and then deep learning. So it's my friend's assignment, and then that's assignment, review assignment, and that's the in that folder we have already started Jupyter notebook. So in that's a reviews.csv file. In that file we can see there are different columns and rows in that Excel file. So we are going to do data manipulation on that particular file. So there is listing ID, there is ID, there is or date given, there is reviewers ID, so who has given that review, and also the review itself. So first of all, we are going to process that data. Task one of our assignment was to process data. The main focus of this task is to remove irrelevant columns from that. I will share that Jupyter file with you guys on my GitHub. And then first of all, we have to decide which columns are required, which column seems required for that particular objective. In data science, we have to do a lot of research. We have to do some R&D as well. If we do not know about the domain, then we need to search the domain as well. For example, if there is any data science project related to the medical field and you do not know about medical field, so first of all you have to know a little bit about it. So we have to do a bit research on that one. For example, if we say for that assignment in particular that is about the real estate, so we in the further cells we're gonna see, we will see the predictions like where the sale is maximum in which area. As we all might know that the if we're gonna buy a house, then what we're gonna consider, we're gonna see how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms are there, and so on. So we have to do a little bit research on the field we are doing research. We are doing data science, data processing assignment. All right, so here we first we're gonna see like which columns we have. So in the listings, I already created a listings variable and I have load that file using pandas, and then it says list. All right, I need to run that cell as well. So in the listings variable, we already stored the listings.csv files output, and here we in that file we have the following columns. the description, neighbor, picture, hostel. So there are a lot of columns we're gonna see, and all those columns are not required. So in our data set, maybe we have a lot of columns. It's a big data. We have a lot of columns. So first we have to search niche which columns are required and which columns are useless for that particular assignment. So we can firstly we're gonna see the columns of interest. You can write the variable name whatever you want. So here I tried to create particular variable. So I, according to my knowledge, according to me, those columns are required for our task. So our task is to search the for example, the price or the demand of particular location. So demand or sales of a particular house or location is depend on the number of field name, description, neighborhood, latitude, longitude, which represent to its location, but exact location, property type, whether it's a house, it's a villa, whatever it is, and it's a granny house, it's a studio. So property type, room type, accommodate. So those are the variable I think are required for our goal. Then listings updated. So in the that data set consists all the columns and the number of columns, but we want only those columns only those mentioned column. So I'm going to update that data set with the required data. So here now we can see that that data set now consists of the only above mentioned columns. So next step is to cleaning prices. All those tasks were given to her on her college assignment, on her university assignment. So I'm going to do the step by step. The second task was to cleaning prices and dealing with missing values. So that data is there. There are a lot of missing values in data. For example, that NaN stands for not a number. So or you can say null value. In those columns there are a lot of null values. So firstly we're gonna see how we're gonna handle those null values. Before feeding data to the prediction model, it is important to clean the data first so that accuracy of the model can be maintained. Firstly, change the currency to float values. If we see the currency over here, okay, let me check where is the price or something in that particular column price. Okay, let me check the price. Listing updated is that, and if I wanna see the price, so we can see the price table contains the string data, but the machine learning model cannot process the string values. Here we need to eliminate that dollar sign, and we need to change that its data type to float. If I gonna check the data type of that particular, okay, it says no, it's series, it's panda series. If you're gonna check the particular value, okay, it's type. All right, it's series. The price is series. If it, I'm gonna check the first location. So it's a string. So that the price table was a series. There was a lot of values. So if I check the particular value, the first value it is string. So we have to change that string value to the float. Now we have to cleaning the prices to dealing with missing values. So the price table here is already we have those table values, those price value in a string, data type object or string, it's same thing. And then we need to change that to float. So in order to do this, firstly we have to replace that. I am using regular expressions over here. So in the dollar sign, instead of dollar sign, I want to eliminate that dollar sign from the whole series at once. So from a price column, I'm going to replace the dollar sign with the empty thing, and I want to change its type to float. Alright. So as you can see now, it's just warning, you can ignore it. The warning, listings price. So now it's listing updated dot price dot data type. Previously it was object type, now it is float 64-bit. And you can see the difference. Initially there was a dollar sign and following the price of that particular column, and now the dollar sign is already eliminated. So now the type of that column, the data is now float. So next thing we can see, so that is the unit's name and the description, whatever it is. So it's a name as a whole. So that is 1 bedroom, 4 bedrooms house, whatever. The price is 56, and now that price is in float type. And next thing, number of rows and number of columns in data set before cleaning. Now we have to clean that data. Cleaning means we have to eliminate the null values, the values which are not required in our processing task. So firstly we're gonna see the number of rows and number of column. So if you check the shape, okay, shape is that represent the number of rows. First there are 2702 rows and 16 columns in that data, the whatever we have selected, and you can see the rows are that one and columns are here. Check the number of null values in each column. In order to do this, we have is null function. We can apply this null is null function to directly to the series object. So listings updated variable, we checked how many null values are there. Is null means whether that is null or not. It's gonna return boolean. Or if you wanna check the total number of null values, so you can just simply do the sum. Let me show you without sum. So it says, you can see there are true, false. It returns boolean value whether the column has null value or not. It says false or true. If we're gonna see the total value of number of nulls and false and number of true. So the ID, there are no null value in ID, no null value in name, but description, neighborhood, and bathrooms, bedrooms, beds, these columns contain some null values. Means some of the houses does not have description, some of the houses does not have the details about the bathroom, bedrooms, bed, etc. So now we're gonna clean that values, gonna handle that values. So in order to with null values, we have two options. We can remove those records or fill them with the assumed values. For example, if there is null value, the first thing would be you can simply remove that entire record, but that record can be useful for our prediction. For example, if there is a how there is a record, you have everything else, like you have you have its location, you have its name, you have number of bathrooms, you have everything, but you don't have number of bedrooms. So but if you have deleted that entire column, the all information would be wasted. So in order to deal with this, you can just fill that value with the assumed one. For example, we can just simply check which is the common number. For example, 2 bedroom is common, so we can just simply fill that with the assumed value with the 2. It's completely up to you. Like data science, or we can say prediction, doing prediction is not a simple job. We have to assume a lot of things, we have to search a lot of things, and every time there may have different predictions. We have to do hit and trial method to make the final conclusion. As we can see in the summary above, bathroom column has no record for all 2702 rows. So we have total number of 2702 records. So in total means bathroom column has no value at all. We can simply eliminate that column for all the records. So for this we can draw to delete a particular column, we can just use a drop function on the series. So and we can write the name of that particular column. So listings updated dot drop that particular column, and now we can simply, initially we had 16 columns and now we can check we are left with 15 columns. Now let's fill the bedrooms and beds with the most repeated values. And we have bedroom 473 and beds 21 values missing. So firstly we mode, you may already aware about the mode median. So this is the most repeated values for bedrooms mode and beds mode. Which value is the most popular one? Mode and iLock 0. So to check that, okay, I'm going to copy and print which is the most popular value for bedrooms. It's 1. So most of the house has 1 bedroom. And let's check the popular value for beds. Print. Again it says 1. Maybe it's possible, you can check it. From here you have to check its value for bedrooms or beds. I think I have opened a different data. Let me check it. Oh, that's listings data. I was checking the reviews data. Sorry about it. Listings.csv. All right. So here you can see the beds. Bedrooms, bathrooms, you can see there is no value for bathroom, and for bedrooms there is one value, maybe beds one value is the most popular one. You can check it manually as well. All right, so now let's move further. Okay, where is our shell? All right, so now we're gonna fill those null values. So for fill na means fill null value, there is already in the pandas we are lucky that we have so many functions already given, predefined functions, so we can simply focus on our final task rather than doing those rather than coding for those simple stick tasks. We don't have to waste our time to code those functions manually, so we're gonna simply use fill na function. So for bedrooms we have all right, fill na function we're gonna use to fill the values. In place true means we're gonna if we do not write in place true, then it will be changed for that particular cell only. If you want to save that the changed value to the listings cleaned variable as well, you have to do in place true. So with printing some, we can simply see this. Sorry about it. Just all right, so initially we had some null values for our bedrooms and null values for our beds. Now you can see the bedrooms and beds have 0 null values. Sorry, sorry, I'm just. All right. I think she's also wanna do some codings. Okay, sorry about it. So Gigi, stop. All right, sorry. Now let's fill the review scores rating with the average value of that column. As you can see, our bedrooms and beds column is already cleaned. Now what we have to do is, now we have to fill now we have to store the null values, fix the null values for reviews scores rating column. All right, so for that, in order to do that, we will see the mean. You can use the mode value as well. Mean is the average. For example, some of the house prices are 10,000, some house prices are 5,000, some house prices are 8,000. You just gonna mean those value. For example, you're gonna just, for example, there are three values: 10,000, 10,000, and 10,000. For in order to do mean, what we're gonna do this, we're gonna plus add those values 30,000, and we're gonna divide the total number of values, which is 3. So the mean average would be 10,000. So that is the same, like we can fill that value with the average value as well. So for a score rating, for the rating, for example, some ratings are two ratings are 2 2, and one ratings is 4. So total we will fill that value to 2 plus 2 plus 4 divide by 3. So that is the formula behind the mean. So okay, for review score, I am filling the review score rating, the rating with the mean value, average value. Now we can see the review score rating column is already cleaned. Now we are left with the description and the neighborhood column. Okay, so now the code below will remove the rows where description and neighborhood had no value. We cannot calculate mean, median, and mode for these columns. Fair enough. So for this, as the description and neighborhood columns contain the string values, so we cannot do mean, median, mode to the string value. We cannot apply those mathematical function to the object values. So firstly, I decided to remove those records for which we have no value for description and neighborhood. It's completely up to you. You can keep those columns, or you can try some other solution as well. I just decided to eliminate those columns. So listing clean dot drop na in place true. For I just did the 61 description and neighborhood. For the records, there is no value description and neighborhood. It will be deleted completely, permanently from listing clean table. Now you can see we have no null value in our data set. And now we can check the final shape of our data set. It's now we are left with that number of rows and 15 columns. Our next task 2 was to do exploratory data analysis, or we can simply say EDA with data visualization. So for price column visualization, we have to first show the price column as well. I have used matplotlib for this and cborn for that. You can use that. I don't think I have to describe that call or that as well. Just we on the x-axis there is price column, that is price 0, 500, 1000, 1500. That's we can consider it as outlier. Means most of the values falls between 2000, even in fact in 1000. So that they just want to record which the value is 3000. We can simply consider it as outlier as well. Okay, so that is our price distribution of accommodation. And then if a listing clean log price, we can do the log to see those values clearly, or we can simply say in simple word, to see the zoom picture of that one. I have used log function on that log transformation. So that those are the log transformed prices. On the I have used a box plot and then title, log transform value, x value, log transform price. We just, in log transformation, we just divide the prices so that we can see a larger picture. Okay, we can adjust the range to include a specific percentage of data and exclude extreme outliers. Or and you can simply decide if you want to remove those outliers, because just because of that outlier, just because of that value, to show that value, the entire image, entire graph is shrinked. So you can just simply ignore those outliers and show the wider picture of that graph. All right. So now I have just used that formula for the plotting. It's you can select a range according to you. I have selected the range from 5 to 95. The values which range from 5 to 95. And here you can see listings no outliers, so I don't want to show the outliers. So the listing price with the value, if the value is less than, I just want to show those values of price which value is 1000, for which the value is 1000. You can see the most of data lies between 1000, 0 to 1000. So I just want to show those values. So in order to do this, I have used that thing here, and I showed had 100 means first 100 values, and the listing no outlier means it's, I have just used that variable listing no outliers. You can choose the name, any name you want, the bedrooms, and y on x-axis there is bedroom, and on y-axis there is price, and we want to color it orange red. It's up to you, you want to choose any whatever color you want. So there is first 100 accommodations, and x level there is number of bedrooms, and you can rotate it whatever you want. So here you can see there is number of bedroom, and that's the price. For example, the one for one bedroom, the price range from that. For two bedrooms, price range from uh, almost 50 to 180 something, just so it's like that. All right. Now, accommodation distribution on maps. On her assignment, it was also mentioned that you have to show those particular accommodation on maps, like where on maps those houses exist. So for as I mentioned in the beginning, there is latitude and longitude values. So we're gonna use those values to locate those locations on maps. In we have a library called Folium. I already uh, loaded that library here. Import Folium. You have to install that library using pip command. Okay, so I'm going to use the Folium. Okay, where it is. So you can simply use that function. Location, you can put latitude, longitude, and zoom start. It's up to you. You can zoom to any level. And it will save that to the HTML page. You can write any name in that. If that cell, now that cell is completely successfully run, now I'm going to see that HTML page it has created. If you can see here at 124, recently it has created that HTML page. I am loading that HTML page, and if you see here, it has located our locations on the map. You can zoom to see the location. There are so many values, that's why it's like that. You can see. You can choose. So all those values are for that particular location, and there are so many locations, like most of the houses fell in that area, and there are some here as well, one house is here, one is here. So it's exactly on the map. If you zoom it, you can see the location names as well. It depends on longitude or latitude. Oh, why I'm zooming it out? So that's how you can show the houses, or you can use a longitude and latitude to show particular location on maps using Folium library. And now you can see our code has created HTML file, and now if you wanna show it as it was our assignment, so I wanna show that created HTML page into that Jupyter notebook. I have used iframe from IPython or display import iframe, and you can use any height or width you want in pixels. So here you can see the zoom, you can zoom in and zoom out. So there's the exact location, and here we got number of houses. Okay, now we have the next task is to summarize the number of accommodation in each market by region. So to summarize, I have used group by function. I want to summarize by neighborhood and count. So in the neighborhood column, so as in a task, it says in each market or region. So we have the region details in the neighborhood column. So that's why I have used group by function on neighborhood. So in our data set, we have 10 records for that location, Belgium, and 653, 718 for that area, 715, and we have one record for. So that's how many records we have per location. And the next task was to summarize the mean price of the accommodation in each region. So in order to do this, we firstly do the group by function on that location, and then we will extract the price column. If you see the price, so that's the price. Okay, I will use that. That's the group by function, that's why it is returning that sorry about it, price, and it's the panda series. So if you want to check its mean, you can do it like that as well. Average. So the average price in Antwerp, whatever it is, Belgium is 2, is that one. Mean price of mean prices means if there are 10 houses, then we will sum all these the prices of those 10 houses divided by 10. So that's how we calculate mean price. That's the reason in by doing so we can figure out which is the most expensive area and which is the least expensive area. However, it depends on the records as well. If we have 10, for example, 10 records for each location, and then we can figure it out which area is more expensive and which one is less expensive. So then next task was to building the accommodation prediction model. Now we have to predict the price of that particular accommodation, deal with non-numeric data. Some of the columns contain non-numeric data. As we all might know, the machine learning model, for machine learning model, data has to be numeric, because the model do not take the object values, it do not take the string values. So the whole entire data has to be numeric, in numeric form. So first, in order to predict price, in order to predict the price, if here we are going to discuss about in general. If you want to for example, how machine learning model work, we firstly we train the model with the general data, and then we ask the model, what do you think, like according to your knowledge, if you have given those attributes, what will be the price of that location. So name, as name has unique value, each every house's name would be different, so name will not contribute to the prediction. So we will just simply remove name. It's completely up to you. You can whatever you think according to your research, you can eliminate columns. So I decided to eliminate, I think that name, description and amenities has no contribution in the prediction. I might be wrong. The amenities may have contribution to the prediction, but here for that particular assignment I have decided to eliminate it. Now I'm going to remove name, description and amenities from that particular data. Columns to drop. Now numeric listing dot. Okay, firstly I will I will see the numeric listings now. So now we have all those columns. Still we have so many columns which has which has object values called like neighborhood, property type, room type. Those columns still have on an object value. Now let's see the unique value for neighborhood column, whether if those columns, if like name, if they all has different value, then I don't think then they will contribute to the further prediction. So we have that much common unique values in code category columns. Neighborhood, property type and room type column appear to be valued to predict price of the property. So we will convert those columns to numeric data using getDummy. This function add column feature to the data service on the unique values. So simply here I think that the property type, room type, and neighborhood can contribute to the prediction. So now I decided to convert that data to the numeric one. Here we can, in pandas, we can use the getDummies function. GetDummies function, you use 001 encoding type. If you want me to make a separate video on the working of getDummies function, I can do so. But in that video, I just give you an overview. It will do the encoding. It's an encoding scheme to convert categorical data to numeric one. So if it will add to, for example, if there are 10 unique words, if there are 10 unique words in the column, it will in the description you can say in entire data, if there are 10 unique words, it will add 10 more columns to the data. It may seems confusing. If you want me to make a separate video on that one, I can make it for you. Okay, so before doing that encoding thing, we had that much number of rows and 13 columns. Now I'm going to do encoding on on those columns: neighborhood, property type, and room type. As I have mentioned earlier, in encoding adds to the columns. So as you can see now, previously we had 13 columns, now we have 54 columns in our data set. And if you're gonna see, trust me guys, those columns may look inappropriate to you, like useless to you, but they contribute to the prediction. 54 columns. Okay, I wanna see the last columns. Dot columns. So we have, you can see those values for neighborhood. Now it has created these columns for neighborhood, and those columns for property type like home, rental unit, townhouse, guest suite, and these columns for Okay, property type, that's room type, private room. So the for using get dummies function, we can convert the categorical data to the numeric one. Now the seventh step is to choose a supervised model such as XGBoost, ANN. ANN stands for artificial neural network. It's a part of deep learning and models to implement your price predictor. In my previous videos, I have used this SVM, sport vector machine, um, or logistic regression. You can choose any model, but for that particular assignment it was already mentioned that we have to use XGBoost. First we'll split the feature on target value. First we're gonna split that data. We want to predict we want to predict price. We will feed all those attribute and we want our machine learning model to predict price. For example, if I provide name, description, price, location to our model, I wanna to get price of that particular house. Okay, so columns to exclude, I want for that particular prediction thing, I want to exclude latitude, longitude, price and log price. For input, I'm creating input and output. For input, I'm going to use, like, I want to predict price, so why would I give price in input? I just want price as output, and I want to, okay, simply as input I'm going to use, let's say, name, description, neighborhood and bedrooms, and in output I want price. So for input, and I want to, so the columns to exclude are for input. I don't want id will not, id is unique for every record, id will not contribute to the prediction. Latitude and longitude alone do not, um, latitude and longitude are, latitude and longitude are for the exact particular location, so it will be different for every house. It will not going to predict, it will not going to help us to predict price of the future houses and log price. So I'm going to exclude those columns from input, and I want to use price as output, price output column. For input I have used following columns: accommodation, bedroom, bed, number of views, etc. And for output I want to use the price column. Split the data training and testing. So we will use 80% of data to train our model and 20% of untouched data for the testing, so that we can figure out how our model is performing. Okay, so X train, X test, Y train, Y test. So that's the training input, training output, testing input and testing output. And 0.2 means I want to use 20% of data for testing. So original data, the number of rows was that, rows and columns. In the training data, we have that number of rows and number of column, and 20, we out of 1447 we use 290 rows for testing, and that's for training. Now we have to use a training model. We are going to use the XG regressor for train our model, to create a model. So we use fit method to train the model, and I have provided the training data, training input and training output. Here, like a child, we are going to we here we are making that machine learning model to learn the pattern for the for that, for example, for those attributes, the price is that attribute price is that. So here in that particular cell, the our model is learning. And now model validation. Now when that run, uh, cell runs, now our model already learned. That data is not a big, usually in a real life scenarios we feed data in gigabytes, in terabytes, but in that particular assignment the data was very low. That's why it was fast, the training process was fast. Now the model validation. There are so many metrics for validation. We can use R2 score, accuracy score, precision score, recall score. Now I'm using R2 score. For that there is different formulas. If you want me to make separate video on the formulas, I can make one for you. For training model dot predict, and for R2 score, okay, for training prediction, I am using the I'm using same data, training data, to predict, to check whether it is predicting accurately or not. I have just trained that model. I just want to make sure whether that model is working fine or not. And to check the score, we can simply put same as the predict method, train and x train, sorry, y train and by train prediction, to check that is the original labels and that is the predicted model, or simply that's the original price, that like it should show that price, but it is showing that price prediction. So let's see how much accuracy the model has. So model is 98%. The accuracy, the R2 score is 98%, means in 98% cases it the prediction was nearby, or you can say exact. Perform an analysis to discuss what kind of features are most related to the accommodation price. So that was her next task. To feature importance, means which features, which columns were the most important to predict price. So that shows the that's in infinite, you can see that from that thing, that output, it's it seems a bit confusing, like what is this. Okay, so now we will see our sort. We are going to sort that according to the important features. Feature name, we will see the first five most important features, and we are going to plot that using that matplotlib, top five feature based on their importance. In order to predict price from that particular given data set, the bedrooms was the most important feature. Yeah, it makes sense. If we want to if there are like five bedrooms in the house, it will be more expensive than the house which is having one bedroom. So the bedrooms is the, we can say, it is a deciding factor. Next deciding factor is accommodates, number of reviews, makes sense. In like these days, if we want to buy a burger, we firstly we see the reviews and ratings of that particular shop. In order to buy a house, we definitely gonna see the number of reviews and ratings in the house of that particular house. Those are the most top five important features for to predict price. Bedroom, accommodate, number of reviews, beds, and reviews score, reviews and ratings. All right, what's the next? It's a bit long. Mhm. All right, it was here. Okay, those cells were hidden. Next task was sentiment analysis. Sentiment means what people think about the particular thing. So in order to do this, uh, there was two files actually. Listings.csv that we have used earlier to check the price using different factors. And the next one is the reviews.csv. We were given a file. There was listing id is the reference, we can say the foreign key for that particular listing table. That is, the listing id is unique for every place. So for that, for example, 50904 represent a particular house in the another table. So for that id, that date, someone has given a review on that particular house. Let's see the reviews. Okay, in order to do this, we are going to use NLTK, Natural Language Toolkit. We have to download it. So that's our reviews table. Some of the reviews are not in English language, but model will learn according to the patterns. Okay, now we will use from NLTK.sentiment, we will use the sentiment intensity analyzer. Calculate sentiment score. I have created a function named that reviews. The content are that's our region of interest. Comments table that will decide the review is positive or negative. We will just simply see that her assignment was limited. It was not that advanced. The teacher or just want her to show whether the review is positive or negative. So we have used that thing. Sentiment score in comment or apply sentiment score. Okay, it is still predicting. All right, that's just going through. It is still going through. It is still going through. Let's sorry about it. Just guys, I make all the videos unfiltered, unedited. That's why it happens. It is still doing some processing. Okay, now I will interrupt that kernel. I will run that cell again. So, okay, it is taking a bit time for that sentiment analysis thing. It may take some time. You can do it. I will provide you with the code. You can check it by yourself. I have created a PDF file as I already tried that code, and I had created a file as well. I have created that file. I will show you the output of that particular thing if possible. Okay, now it may take some time because it is working. It is calculating sentiment score for those columns. Like we have number of columns and number of records. The that column, that function, that polarity scores, it do a lot of things. Firstly, it calculate it do the in the previous function we manually did that thing. We manually changed the categorical column to the numeric ones, but that function do it by that self. Okay, let's see. That was the project report. I have created a perform sentiment analysis. Okay, after that there was a sentiment analysis, that was a reviews, and to check the positive review, the sentiment score was in 0 and 1. If the value is less, if the value is greater than 0, the sentiment value is greater than 0, it means it was a positive review. That function, the function which is running here, it return data in the in numeric form, like the value would be in 0 and 1. and more. If the sentiment value is greater than 0, it means it is a positive score, and if the sentiment value is less than 0, it means it has a negative score. Okay, so I will show you that's the first four positive comments. We can see here I have created two different variable, positive review and negative review. For positive review, I have printed the first four reviews. So you can see Karen is absolutely beautiful. Karen is a wonderful host. She was really, the location is super nice, perfect location for exploring the city. You can see all those, if we read by ourselves, all those reviews seems positive. And if you can see the negative reviews here, these are in the different language. You can see some of the reviews, if you check it thoroughly, if you check it manually, the data, some of the reviews, if you read them, they are not positive. So for those reviews it says negative. That's how our recommendation systems works for us. Like, review sentiment analysis is very useful in today's market. We can, that is the most basic level. You can explore it more and you can improve your skills. You can do it in a good way. You can make a recommendation system according to, like, it is the similar. You can use an, okay, it's done, thankfully. And as you can see, as I have already shown you, there is the sentiment score. Those are the positive ones, and those are the negative ones. If we will see the last, if I will see the last, so most of the our reviews are in different language. That's the most basic thing. You can choose another data set where there is just English language only, just English positive review or English negative review. If you want to see, I have created another video on that one, sentiment analysis. I have created a GUI as well. I will give the link in the description of that video, to you can check it out as well. That is the theoretical part of that assignment. Like, the last task was to analyze the reason why people like and dislike the accommodation. From the above conclusion, you can, above result, you can make those conclusion. Positive aspect, positive interaction with the host, as we read that review, the positive review, it says the host, that there's the host's name is, she was really helpful. So positive interaction with the host, positive aspect, like why people like that location. Some of people say that the host was a good, like this convenient location, beautiful furnishing. So you can read the positive reviews. The what the machine learning model did, for us, it categorized the whole data into two parts. Some of them were positive and other was negative reviews. So you can check the positive reviews if you want to see the positive aspect of that particular location, or if you want to see the negative aspect of particular location, you can see the negative reviews. So the negative was, no, there was, in some of the comments there was like, you can simply do, you can translate that particular thing in English. Like, it's, I don't know what language it is, how you gonna do this. To be a set, that data set was given to the students by the college. You can choose another data set, another reliable data set where all the comments are in English. Potential maintenance concerns, so those were the negative feedback about that particular data set. So that's how I have completed a college assignment. That's the master's assignment in the subject project data warehousing. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and you can comment for further suggestions. Thank you.